So you're looking to replace some of your N64 controllers.
Well, you got to have 4.
So in this video, we're going to go over the top 3 options of getting new N64 controllers if you're having any issues with yours.
Well, most times people do, though.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest thing with the N64 is the stick. That's what I find mostly, right? So, like, where would I go if I'm trying to find those different options? What's my first door?
Yeah, and the very first thing you're going to want to look at is really going to Facebook Marketplace. Probably going to find controllers ranging from $25 to $50 depending on the color, but more importantly, how loose the joystick is.
Well, that's usually what happens, though. Like, so are you saying like $25 to $40, $50 like for a good one, or like?
Sometimes it's pending, right? Like you might pay $50 just to get a unique color that has a bad stick, or you might buy a gray controller for $50 that has a good stick.
Yeah.
And good is not great. A lot of these controllers have been thrashed so hard.
Lots of Mario Party.
Yeah, lots of Mario Party and drifting with Mario Kart 64. Like the controllers just got beat up. And that's going to be your first option. But if you're thinking of doing something a little different, maybe get something a little bit more consistent, you could do what Gerard did. What did you do?
Well, yeah, I had the same problem, right? So I had my original, and it was actually thrashed, so I got another one from another friend, and it was pretty good, but I wasn't loving it, so I didn't go to the used market. I actually went to door number 2. I went to the third-party option, and most people who know anything about third-party controllers, they'd go, ew, what? No, like those Hip Gear and Mad Cat stuff that we got at, like, back in the day? No, it's moved beyond that. So there's lots of options, but do your homework first. I chose the Brawler, so the Brawler 64 by Retro Fighters, and it's got a modern layout. It's excellent. It fixed kind of all the issues I had with the N64's original controller. Now, you either love that controller or you hate it. I don't hate it. I just didn't love it, right? So this it looks a lot like the kind of Xbox One sort of controller, but everything you need, the modern stick, all that kind of stuff. I love it. I think it's fantastic. It does everything I need it to do. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Like, the stick is a little sensitive. Like, Donovan and I played Pokemon Stadium.
Right? One thing we noticed was, especially very specifically with the mini games of like the Ekin rings toss,
it was a little sensitive.
Like really tough to get those rings that are right in front of you versus the ones that are in the back rows. Those ones are always easy to get. But
like, that's pretty specific. So I really enjoyed it. I 120-starred Mario 64 and I loved it. I had great times with it. I did Ocarina. I did all the stuff that you would normally do with that kind of stuff. And I played those games in their entirety. So I played all the way through them with the Brawler and I loved it. Now, what
kind of issues did you have with the controller? Because I remember you said that something did come up.
He actually did mention that. Like, I was just about to say that I was playing Mario 64, and by this point I had 2, right? But I was playing with this gray one I have right here. And I was getting some ghost inputs from one of the shoulder buttons, which was creating a situation where Mario was crouching for no reason. And I tested it, I reset it, I didn't know what was going on. It was in the first year that I had it. And I was frustrated, but I wasn't upset. I was just like, well, I really like this controller, but I want it to work properly, right? So the next day, I got a hold of Retro Fighters, and I sent them an email, being very nice, of course. Again, I don't feel like I have to point this out, but like, you get further with honey. Be nice. Don't be rude. Like, you're trying to get something from these guys. And this controller was still under warranty. So anyway, I emailed them, and I said, hey, I'm getting this issue with one of my Brawlers, and I really like the controller. I think it's still under warranty. What are my options here? And they said, no problem. Like, so I feel like I have to point out that this was 6 minutes after I sent the email. They responded, and not like some auto-generated kind of email. They said, hey, don't worry about it. Controller's still under warranty. We verified that you bought it from us. A new one is in the mail. As soon as it ships out, you'll get another email shipped out. And I responded and said, that's fantastic. That's great. Do you want me to send the other one back? They said, no, don't worry about it. It's all on us.
And you got a new controller just like that.
Yeah, and again, the old one I still have, but like you pointed out, that like that's parts and things that I could use in the future if I choose to take that route.
Yeah, especially after the warranty is gone, you have replacement parts for it.
Excellent customer service. That should speak for itself. If you're looking at a third-party controller, that should be the way you take it, because they took care of me. And the new one I have, I use it all the time. I haven't had any issues with it, but I know if I do have issues, they're going to take care of me.
And
So
the one
that's just
thing
great.
worth pointing out on these guys is they're wireless. So if you're
Right.
not even close to your TV, you can get this in the wireless option. They do have a wired
They do.
option as well, and the wire is pretty long. But for the wireless option, we've had multiple brawlers in the console and have no issues with them connecting. It's been a great experience.
And they're full lithium-ion batteries. They're great. They have really long life. I'm yet to run them all the way down. I've played them for the better part of a day and not had to run the battery down. They've just been an excellent controller for me. They may not be for you. So we actually do have a third option that most people probably wouldn't think about.
Yeah, and this was kind of something we stumbled upon. I started doing a little bit of collecting of Japanese market of N64. And I ended up buying a console and got some controllers with it. And when I got the controller in, so this is an official Nintendo controller.
But look, it's two different colors,
And
which was
just from
confusing.
Japan. And this controller is as if it's never been used. The snapback on it, all the buttons, this is like it's never been used, and for the price of it. So living in Canada, I had to pay a little bit more for the shipping. But to get this controller in, I would call it mint condition. This would have been $40 including the shipping.
It's the only time I've seen one like this would have been when we got our N64s new,
Brand new.
and the controller came out of the box. 30 seconds later, get destroyed by 6-year-old us. Right? So.
And for $40, including the shipping to get one controller, and they always do combined shipping. So if you're looking for 3 or 4, like for 4 controllers including the shipping, you should be able to get that for $100. And something also worth noting on eBay, most Japanese sellers actually do free shipping in the United States. So if you're in the United States looking for controllers, it's an even cheaper option again for you, because then you're not paying that added expense. So, you know, $100 to get 4 controllers that are almost as if they're brand new.
And they're virtually no different. They're both NTSC controllers, so.
And it works with all the games. There's no
haven't
issues.
found any issues with them.
And it goes both ways, right? The North American controllers work on the Japanese consoles and vice versa. And honestly, for myself, this will be the route I go in the future. If I'm ever looking for controllers, whether it's to bundle a console to sell and I want a cool controller that's in good shape, I will definitely be considering buying it right from Japan to go with it, because they're going to get a first-party controller that's in great shape, rather than when someone comes and they see it and the stick is so loose. And, you know, the main reason you're getting back into these games is, or these old consoles, is because you want to play some Mario Kart or
and I totally
play Mario
get it.
Party, and you're going to ruin sticks again, right?
Well, it's not even that. Like, it is that, but it's also the fact that I get that you want to play, a lot of people want to play it with the original controller. And like, it's for the same reason that some people may not love emulation, but like, or may not love the brawler. Like, it works for me. Donovan takes a different path, right? Like, so that's a great example of how two different people have two different views on, or just two different kind of choices that they would rather have when it comes to something like this.
Two choices to the same outcome.
Yeah. So I think either way, though, I think you're better off, this is just how I feel about it, you're better off with either this or Japanese this, rather than going to the used market, because you're going to spend roughly the same money for a better product at the end of the day.
And just to add this in, you might think, oh, I'm going to just buy a North American controller and buy a replacement stick and put it in. Putting the sticks in themselves is really not a hard task, but they never work as good. We were talking about the sensitivity of the joystick
full
on the
analog
brawler.
stick. Yeah.
We talked about it being a little bit off on the brawler. Well, you're going to be mega off if you end up going that route.
And you know what? Half the time I tried to do that and repair old controllers, they either strip out the screws in the back or something falls apart inside when you get it apart. You have to remember it's 30-odd-year-old plastic. Not quite, but almost. It's that plastic. It gets old, it gets brittle. At least with some of this stuff, the Japanese stuff or the brawlers or whatever, they're like new. Or the brawler new in this case. So, you know, your mileage may vary about that used stuff.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what we have for you. If you have a different controller that you like or a different route you took, put it in the comments below. We want to hear about it. Maybe we'll make a video about it. Like and subscribe.
And plus, if you have an experience similar to what I had or a used experience, we want to hear about it in the comments.